Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Something to Talk About, and welcome to my third What's the Difference video. And yeah, go check out all the people from the Benverse. But before I get into it, I have to say, hi! Welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I cover Song of Ice and Fire characters. Normally, I cover, like lesser known characters from the book, but this is the third of my What's the Difference, where I take two characters and combine them. If you've never been here before, I do have to say I do all this in one big long take. I like the improvisational feel, like I'm talking right at you, like I'm yelling right at you. And yeah, I do have cards that I go through to kind of keep me on track. So I am covering Talisa Maegyr. Is that how you say it? It just reminds me of Maegor the Cruel. But yeah, Talisa, or Talisa Stark, if you will, and Jeyne Westerling. So their characters feel like the same role, but Jeyne from the books, Talisa from the show, but they are extremely different. I mean, they're literally different characters. So I'm going to go through very, very, very quickly Talisa's role in the show. I'm assuming you've seen the show. If not, go check the show out. Also, there's some massive spoilers in this one. So if you have not seen the show and you want to, and if you haven't read the books and you want to, get out. Because I'm going to talk about the Red Wedding again. All right. So yeah, see ya. Okay. But yeah, so I'm going to cover Talisa extremely quick and then cover everything that Jeyne Westerling did, because this is really just my excuse to talk about Jeyne Westerling. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about the differences between their characters, which is a lot in this case. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So Talisa was played by Ona Chaplin, starting in season 2 and again in season 3 of Game of Thrones. Talisa, the character, was born in Volantis. She traveled to Westeros to be a healer on the battlefield of the Westerlands, where she met the king in the north, Robb Stark, and fell in love with him and eventually married him. She was pregnant when she was, here's the spoilers, killed at the Red Wedding. I'm keeping this short because I got a lot to cover with Jeyne, and I'm sure you all remember Talisa, right? So that's everything she did. Like I said, I'm cutting most of my information out for Talisa, but yeah. So let's move over to the Jeyne. So Jeyne Westerling is the eldest daughter of a Lord Gawain Westerling and Lady Sybil Spicer. If you guys want me to cover Sybil Spicer, just ask. She might be too big of a character, but on my other series, I've been thinking about covering a Spicer. All right. Jeyne is a shy, pretty girl, though, according to Jaime Lannister, not a beauty to lose a kingdom for. She is slender and willowy, but has good hips, whatever that means. Jeyne has curly chestnut hair, a heart-shaped face, a shy smile, and doe-like soft brown eyes. I don't know what heart-shaped face is. That's how he describes Melisandre. Like she has a widow's peak? I don't know. Okay. Maybe I know. I don't know. So let's talk about her house that she hails from. So House Westerling of the Crag is a noble house from the Crag in the northwestern Westerlands. They are sworn to House Lannister of Casterly Rock and are considered among principal bannermen. Their sigil is 6 seashells by the seashore on white on sand. According to semi-canon sources, their words are honor, not honors. The Westerlings are an ancient and proud house dating back to the days of the First Men. So yeah, so she's a Westerland house. So how does somebody from the Westerlands end up marrying Robb Stark? Well, we'll get into it. All right. Old but poor. Oh, well, we're still talking about the house. Although noble and old, the family is not rich. Their gold mines having failed, possibly to better their finances, Lord Gawain Westerling wed Sybil Spicer, the daughter of an ennobled family that descended from merchants. Because of the low standing of their mother, Jeyne was rejected as a match for one of Kevin Lannister's sons. One of them, I'm not sure which one. Probably he's probably get her to marry all of them, or maybe they were trying to, yeah. get her to marry all of them. But Lannister, Lancel, and then the twin boys, Martin and Willem. So they tried to marry her into the Lannisters through Kevin, and that failed. Right, so she could have married Lancel. That would have been weird. So yeah, now I'll pose the questions. How does like somebody from the Westerlands and not a powerful house end up marrying the king in the north? All right, we'll do it. The North rises. The king, after King Joffrey captures his father Ned, Robb Stark, the young wolf, agrees to marry a daughter of Lord Walder Frey as part of an alliance between House Stark and Frey. While capturing Riverrun from Jaime Lannister and his forces, Jeyne's father, Lord Gawain Westerling, is captured by Robb's army in the Battle of the Whispering Wood and is held captive at Seaguard. So, yeah, like her dad was already held captive by Robb at this point, which is crazy. So, after all that, during the Westerlands expedition of a Robb, now named King. So, it doesn't happen in the show, but he does go over to attack the Westerlands. I think it does like a little, but they make it all the way down to Lannisport in the books. And this is after all that during like the Westerland campaign or the West campaign, the Westerlands. So during the Westerland campaign, his army storms the Crags, the ancestral seat of House Westerling. Robb is wounded by an arrow. Jeyne's mother, Sybil, and uncle, Rolf Spicer, encourage the girl to nurse the young wolf. While recovering at the Crag, Robb receives a message that his younger brothers, Bran and Rickon, have been killed by his former friend Theon, who captured Winterfell. Jeyne comforts Robb in his grief, and they sleep together. To protect her honor, he marries her the next day, but the marriage leads directly to the breakup of Robb's alliances with Robb's alliance to Lord Walder. What did I just say? So she's there, and then her mom and uncle are like, hey, go and comfort the wounded king. Like, get up there. So definitely schemy stuff there, right? Some scheming. So when she's like kind of nursing him, so he's probably talking to her and trying to be nice. And then when he finds out, even though they didn't die, that his brothers die, he is just really needing grief. And in their grief, somehow, whatever, they end up sleeping together. But because he doesn't want to dishonor her of taking her maidenhead, he, kind of out of guilt, marries her. And that is extremely different from the show, right? Again, we'll get to it, but that's how he marries Jeyne Westerling out of all people. This immediately, the outraged phrase, this pisses off the phrase, take their forces at the Crag and Riverrun back to the twins, although a part of their strength remains with Lord Roose Bolton at Harrenhal. Black Walder Frey threatens to kill Jeyne so that a widower Robb could then marry a Frey, but Jeyne begs her husband to be merciful, and Black Walder is spared. Woo! Some crazy stuff going on there. Yeah, Black Walder was there. He don't mess around. He's a Frey who don't mess around. And yeah, alliance is broken. They have to go back and deal with the Freys and try to get back in their good graces. Young Love, I guess. It's kind of a sarcastic title. The couple are devoted to each other and try to conceive, with Sybil giving her daughter morning possets. I had to look that up. It's like the only thing I could find was like it was like a dessert, so it's kind of weird. Like it's like a creamy dish to help with her fertility. Jeyne tries hard to be a good wife for Robb, although she is worried about the pressure he is under as king. She seeks advice from Robb's mother, Catelyn Stark. Jeyne, following that advice, tries to be patient and understanding. Robb, for his part, can smile and be temporarily without worries when he's in her company. So, he's working on it. Jeyne is anxious around Grey Wind since Robb's direwolf killed a knight at the crag whom Jeyne has known for years. And, he's a huge wolf. So he actually kind of starts distancing himself from his own direwolf, which is like something that Catelyn's immediately like, hey, you need to be around your wolf. Like, stop leaving him out. Like, because it scares the Westerlings, which kind of makes sense. Like, he's a giant wolf. She's not like, old school, like, northern house. They don't deal with the wargs. Like, that's probably terrifies her. So, anyways, let's keep on going. So, the Red Wedding. After negotiations, Walder Frey agrees to ally with the Starks in return for the marriage of Robb's uncle, Lord Edmure Tully, to Rosalind Frey, and a personal apology from Robb. Jeyne and most of her family remain at Riverrun under the protection of Sir Brendan Tully to avoid extra tensions between Lord Frey and her husband. Jeyne rides an hour north to the Tumblestone and attempt to accompany Robb, but he sends her back to Riverrun. Yeah, so what all am I saying here? She's not at the Red Wedding because it would be an insult to bring his wife in front of a Lord Walder Frey. So he leaves her behind, and she even tries to go up there, and he's like, honey, go back to Riverrun. Like, can't be here. You gonna get mad. And that inadvertently, of course, saves her. So, outside of the wedding of Edmure and Rosalind at the Twins, Arya is puzzled when she hears of a feasting Northman cheer of the young wolf and Queen Jeyne. She's like, who's Queen Jeyne? Within the Twins, houses Frey and Bolton betray and Red Wedding Robb and his men. That is a verb, to Red Wedding somebody. Kevin Lannister later instructs King Tommen to pardon the Westerlings and grant the title of Lord of Casimir to good old Rolf Spicer. Rolf. Awful name. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. If your name's Rolf, I'm not making fun of you. It's a cool name. The young widow, Jeyne. Oh, I didn't credit the Miko. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't write that. Yeah, this is art from the Miko. I love the Miko. Jeyne goes into mourning to the irritation of Sybil, who had been in secret negotiations with Lord Tywin Lannister the whole time. Dun, dun, dun. Her mom's been talking to Tywin like this has been a plan the whole time. Unbeknownst to Jeyne, the daily potions that, like, creamy treat she was getting by her mom that was supposed to be for fertility was the opposite, and it was preventing pregnancy. Although most of the River Lords submit to the Iron Throne, Riverrun remains under the control of Brynden the Blackfish. The siege of Riverrun is settled peacefully when by Sir Jaime Lannister, who tasks Forley Prester with returning Jeyne to her father back at the Craig. Sorry, I started mumbling there. To avoid tales that her dead husband Robb have given her a child and thus an heir to the north, Jeyne is to remain unmarried for 2 years and is given a strong escort of soldiers with secret instructions to kill her if she were to any attempt of escape during the travel from Riverrun to the Craig. Excuse me. Before she leaves, Jaime notices that Jeyne has ripped her finely made clothes in an act of mourning for Robb and rebellion for her mother, who took away the crown and gave it that Robb gave to Jeyne. So yeah, she's like throwing like a teenager tantrum. She like rips up all this stuff. She's like, "Screw you, mom." But yeah, so even though she was like her mom, Sybil Spicer, was talking to Tyrion, I don't think Jeyne has anything to do with it. Jeyne probably really did like Robb, or at least enough, and she liked probably being queen, because who doesn't? I love being queen too. I don't know what joke that is. I'm tired, guys. All right, what are the differences? Like, what isn't different? in the show, Talisa is a medic from Essos who falls in love with Robb and marries him for love. She gets pregnant, then dies at the Red Wedding brutally. The only thing Jeyne has in common with her is that she also marries Robb. Because Jeyne isn't from Essos. She is from an ancient Westerland house. She didn't marry for love, and they married to keep Jeyne from being dishonored by Robb, who took her virginity. There is no love, at least, for there. And as far as we know, she never gets pregnant. And the biggest change, she's alive. She didn't get brutally stabbed at the Red Wedding. I do want to bring up the words again, because I think that that's important. They're honor, not honors, because their biggest plot is Jeyne Westerling gets married to Robb because Robb didn't want to dishonor her. So I think that her words, or the family's words, is kind of like referencing that, like poetically, right? I mean, it's not like they made it their words thousands of years ago because they knew about that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that George kind of made it honor, not honors, as kind of a play on the whole dishonoring her. Okay. These are massive changes. They changed Jeyne into literally a different character. One could argue Talisa is a good change because making it true love and her prego makes the entire Red Wedding more tragic. I honestly am okay with these changes for the show. Of course, I always prefer the book, but for the show, I agree with the changes. Or at least I'm okay with them, because the show would have fumbled the complexity of the storyline and fumbled it after the Red Wedding, because after they got past the books, they were like, what are we doing? Not knowing what to do with Jeyne. So yeah, I'm okay with them changing it in the show, because I don't think they would have handled it correctly anyways, because it's a lot more complex. There's a lot more going on here, instead of just like he fell in love with somebody and married him. Like there's no love here. And I love it for the parallels of like her and her of Robb and his dad, because his dad's all about honor and doing the right thing, and a lot of that was probably Robb doing that to honor his dad. Like, no, I will not dishonor this girl. But yeah, so there's a lot going on here. Which do you prefer? Do you like Talisa more or Jeyne more? And also, do you think it was a good idea? Because I like Jeyne more, but I think it's a good idea that they changed her to like the Talisa character in the show. I think it fits the show better. So yeah. Anyways, just whatever. Your whole thoughts about it. Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. This is my third What's the Difference? What's the difference? It's my awful Jerry Seinfeld. But yeah, so I covered Dagmar Cleftjaw and the Great John are my other What's the Differences. So this is, of course, a much bigger character. And yeah, all right, that's it. I get to relax now. You guys have a good one. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe if you haven't. And check out all my other stuff. And yeah, peace.